Hi, this is Joseph. It is Tuesday. It's January 10th. So it's the start of a brand new year. I've already got quite a few questions asking me how it's going to go this year, what my expectations are. So obviously, now that we've passed the holidays, things are going to get a little busier eventually. So this is a perfect example of exactly what I talk about when people will ask me, how long is it going to take to pass a funded challenge? How many trades do you get every single day? These are typical questions that I get all the time, and they're great questions. I would want to know the same thing if I was in your shoes, if I was considering signing up to use a service. So today is a perfect example. This is the euro dollar. This is a 30-minute time frame, as you can see here. And this goes back to yesterday, Monday, about 6:30 in the morning. And from about that time, things have just, for the most part, gone sideways. So when you see something like this, you can pretty much determine that not only me, but you and probably a lot of other people, unless they're scalping, we're just going to have fewer trade opportunities. There are going to be some pairs that may stretch out a little bit further, meaning that they may have wider trading ranges, and they may, kind of trade off of a support low or a resistance high, something like that. But it may be short term. It may be very, very temporary. And you can see right here, there was a resistance from yesterday on Monday at about 8:30 in the morning. That's California time. And then here at about 7 o'clock in the morning today, actually 6:30 in the morning, you can see it touched that level, came pretty close, a few pips away. And then it still really didn't provide much of an opportunity. I mean, it didn't break out of that trading range. So when I see this, it means something. I mean, eventually it's going to set up an opportunity. But here's the important thing. If you're using a robot or a bot or an EA, something that is not executed by a real human being, somebody who's taking who takes time to analyze the markets and the conditions. So sometimes if you're using an EA, and I used some of them a long, long time ago, I bought some of the bots from like 2008, 2009 that were coming out on the markets. I bought some from ClickBank years ago. You might remember ClickBank. It's still around, but there was a lot of crappy expert advisors or robots, they used to call them, Forex robots. And they were bots, and people still try to sell them today, and people still try to develop them. Some of them may do okay in certain conditions. But the issue is that if nobody's watching those conditions, so let's say that, it's kind of built on a moving average or something like that with a trending environment, as opposed to consolidation like this, it may end up, I'm not saying that all of them do it, but some of them, I know because I've used them and they're really bad inside of consolidation, or when their conditions are wrong. If they're created for consolidation when it's trending, they don't work. One way or the other, if nobody's there to look at the trade setup and verify it and validate it, then it's likely to continue to execute trades when nobody's watching, like nobody's there to confirm these. And you don't want that. You don't want to serve a service or some kind of a trade copier system that's automated with nobody looking at it. What you want is somebody with a lot of experience, somebody who knows when to stay out of the markets. And they know that the next trade is just around the corner. You got to wait for it. That by itself, just that understanding can take some time. A lot of people struggle with that idea of, when I first got into this business back in 2000, I thought I was going to make a lot of money like in 30 days. Within the first 30 days, I thought I was going to have all the money that I needed to pay every bill that I had and to take care of my family. And it didn't work out that way. I had a long, my journey was long. And for most of us, it's a very long journey. Fortunately, I've been able to do this for 22 years. So I know, and I've become very accustomed to days like this, or trading days like this, or even weeks when it does this, to know that it's not worth trying to jump in and out of the markets, just hoping that there's going to be some kind of candle pattern or something like that. You've got to have the skill. You've got to have the ability to be able to read when the market's not going anywhere and when it's likely to start, when it's ready to go somewhere and it's going to break out and make that next big move, whether it's to the downside or to the upside. So this is a perfect example of, I just didn't have too many trades. Now, I did have a couple of trades, but they weren't big trades. Obviously, if you look at most of the Forex majors, there just wasn't this kind of trading activity. So I couldn't tell you that I was making 80, 90 pips on every single trade. And I'm not double counting. That is something that I do see a lot of other companies out there. If you go to their website and they're telling you they're making you 100 pips a day, it's possible on good days you can make 100 pips. I can do that. Like, these moves can be relatively consistent and easy if you know how to detect them and read them. But what I'm getting at is on days like this, if somebody's still saying that they're making 200 or 300 pips, they're probably double counting, meaning that if they have, let's say, 10 lots or 5 lots, let's say that they execute 10 lots and they have a 5 pip trade, they'll call it or count it as 50 pips. And I guess technically, you could argue that they are effectively earning 50 pips, but that doesn't help you, the prospective buyer of that service, determine what type of system they're using and if they're very profitable. You know what I mean? Like if they're just scalping for 5 pips at a time, you got to ask yourself, do you want a service that's providing little scalping trades like that? Or do you want somebody who's reading the markets, waiting for opportunities? So it's just something to take into consideration. I don't double count. I only use one lot with the trade copier. You can use multiple lots when you use the trade copier. You specify how many lots you want in there, but I use one standard lot with all of my trades, so I'm consistent because all of my subscribers are looking. There's several different ways that you can set up the lot size. You can set it as a fixed lot size. You can set it as a percentage of your account balance. And you can also set it up to duplicate or mimic whatever it is that I'm doing. And then you can base it off of the size or the position that I have. I recommend using a fixed lot at first, and then once there's equity built up in the account, then use the percentage, right? Then you can risk 1% or 2% of the account. So that's what the trade copier, it's a very smart trade copier. We use Social Trader tools, and there's several different ways that you can set it up. But in the beginning, I recommend just using a fixed lot. So you can count on every single time, I'm always going to use the same lot size. But in my own personal accounts, well, I'm scaling mine up. I'm using 1%, sometimes 1.5%. And when there's a lot of equity built in the account, I'll go and exceed even that. So I connect all of my funded accounts to my trade copier, but I execute one primary trade on one primary account, and then it affects all of the accounts, including my subscribers or you when you sign up. So you know that there's going to be consistency, and I'm also very, very careful when I trade. So again, I was able to execute some trades and they were all winning trades. And even if it's a failed trade, if the trade's not working out the way I want it to or the way I expect it to, it's not like I'm imposing my will or anything, but when I look for a breakout trade, if it's that type of setup, well, then I expect the move to move quickly, like quickly from the time I get in the trade, because I'm watching volume and I can see when it's likely to break down or break up to the upside. Whatever the case is, I have a very specified trading setup that tells me that it's going to be a breakout and the next few bars are going to be the actual breakout that I'm looking for. And if it doesn't work that way, if it's not going anywhere, then I just shut the trade down and wait for the next opportunity or look for another signal. And that's a very smart way, a very controlled way to do it. What I'm getting at is by doing that, if a trade doesn't work out in my favor, I can detect that the trade's not going to work at all, or it's just not working out well. So I shut it down so I don't experience a big stop loss. That's the thing I want you to know, is that a lot of these other services, they'll use big stop losses or they won't use a stop loss at all. I always use a stop loss. And if you look at my average stop loss size, it's about 17, sometimes 18 or 12 pips. 12 pips, that's not even double counting. I'm talking about 12 pips. And all of my trade targets are 2 for 1. So if you look at it or think about it, when I'm controlling the trades that don't work and I'm shutting them down, and even if I have a small loss, I don't let it run into a 12 pip stop loss or a 17 pip stop loss. Sometimes I can close it down with a 4 pip stop loss or a 3 pip loss, and then I can quickly and easily earn back that loss right away on the next trade. And then if all of my trades are 2 for 1, well, then I'm looking for a trade that's going to be anywhere from 20 pips or greater, and sometimes 50, 80, 90 pips, depending on the setup. And you're going to get the same trades. These are the same trades that I'm executing in my personal funded account and in my personal accounts. All of my trades are affected by the trade I execute, and you can copy all of my trades. So you need somebody who has, again, the skill to be able to identify the market condition, know when to stay out, know when a trade isn't working out favorably, and shut down the trade so we can minimize the stop loss and not necessarily have to let the trade run into the stop loss. And then always look for trades that are 2 for 1. That's how you're going to grow your account. And then you can always scale your account quickly so you can get to that 10% profit target if you have a funded account And if you have your own personal account attached to my trade copier, well, then if we're trying to earn 10% on our funded accounts, you can earn 10% or whatever it is that we earn in our funded accounts in your own personal account. So I recommend growing both your personal account and your funded account, connecting them to my trade copier and growing both of them at the exact same time. It's a fantastic way to double your profits. And if you have any questions at all about my trade copier service or which funding company you should use, what size trading account you should go after, which ones are reliable. If you have questions about this and you're getting ready to subscribe to my service, my trade copier service, but you want to talk to me and you got a last few minute questions, you want to have those questions answered before you decide to sign up, go to my website. At the bottom of some of the pages on my website, you're going to see a link where you can schedule a call to talk to me on the phone. If you're outside of the United States, we use Zoom. I'll send you a Zoom link and we'll have a Zoom call, just you and I. It's a meeting. If you're in the United States, I can call you on the phone and I'll answer all your questions. And you can book a call based on the most convenient time for you according to what's available on my schedule. So my calendar schedule, it gets booked up pretty quick with people wanting to talk to me, as you could imagine. There's a lot of people that want to take advantage of this, especially with the start of the new year. They want to build these accounts up now so that, by February, March, April, they're already receiving payouts. And at some point, hopefully, you can start living off of your payouts, depending on the size of your trading account. Thank you for watching. Good luck trading.